This is Sunny Fireside with Jeff Walker, our first telecast, our special telecast of Sports Legends Southwest. And we're very gratified to have with us one of the perennial forwards in the state of Texas from Jack Yates High School, from University of Houston, and basketball everywhere, Brother Ricky Winslow. We're very gratified and appreciative of you joining us on our first initial broadcast of Sports Legends Southwest. Thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Big Rick. Okay, Big Rick, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start out by showing a little small clip of your footage playing overseas. So we're gonna play that. It's about 2 minutes of footage. Then we'll go ahead and get started with your interview, okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Carl, with the interview, with the video.
All righty. Jeff, if we could go into first a part of our, because in all of that transition, I lost a little bit.
Okay, no problem, no problem. I'll go ahead and go into the interview. Okay, Rick, all right. Again, I'm a big fan of yours. I understand that, you're 3 years younger than I am. And as you arrived at JY, I had just left JY. I graduated with the Michael Young class.
Okay.
So, but when we was at PV, man, we had plenty of black bragging rights, bragging about the University of Houston, because at PV, you got people from Yates, you got people from Sterling, then you got people from all over, from Chicago, LA, and we talked a lot of stuff. So you guys gave us a lot of bragging rights, and we enjoyed it, man. So I just want to let you know how much we appreciate, what you guys put into the, that effort you guys put in to give us a lot of bragging rights.
Thanks
So,
for
here
love.
we
Thanks
are.
for support. Michael Young was one of my favorite guys. You went to school with him, so.
Exactly. Okay, all right. So your JY days. We're gonna start out with your JY days. So here you are. You're finishing up at Ryan Junior High School, and now you're trying to determine where you want to take your talents. I mean, you can't take your talents to South Beach just yet. So where are you going to take your talents? What high school do you want to take your talents to? So my question to you is, was there ever any doubt as to what high school you wanted to take your talents to?
Well, first, before I answer that question, I want to give a shout out to all my cuz, all my Ryan cuz, from Troy Osborne, Kurt Hogan, Tony Malone, Rua Williams, Keldrick Morton, and Stacey Belcher. Those are those guys that put me on the map. A lot of people didn't know, even from Ryan, I almost committed to Louisville from Ryan, because Louisville started recruiting me when I was at Ryan.
Wow.
Yeah, but I lived in the neighborhood. I lived a block from JY and Imperial Apartments. It was like, if you know where Newman Hall Center is, it was right across the street from there. It's a parking lot now.
Okay.
So it was no way. My love was for my community as a youngster, and it was no way that walk I was walking, that I passed by Yates almost every day going to school to Ryan, so that I could pass Yates, especially with all the legends that had went to Yates before me.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. My next question is, how big of an impact was Coach Tommy Malone on your decision to attend JY?
Well, he was a big influence. When I got to Yates, Coach Malone was a big impact, because just him being around, the skill set that it just wasn't an offense. It just wasn't. We was just pressing up and down the court. We had an offense. So me coming in and I could handle the ball at point guard, it gave me a lot of knowledge, being able at a young age to learn where everybody's supposed to be on the floor at a point guard. And Coach was great to me. He was like a father figure to me.
Okay. I had that same way with me. I love Coach Malone. He was my drafting teacher at Ryan, and he was a character. He kept us laughing every day. I'll never forget what he told me. He said, Walker. He said, you don't have no talent, Walker. You have absolutely no talent. He said, but you work hard. He said, it's going to serve you well moving forward. But that guy was a character. He made us laugh every day. When you got to JY, okay, so you get to JY, I know you did, but I'm going to ask you this question anyway, in case other people don't know. Did you start all 3 years, Rick? In other words, from day one, when you're on the varsity, day one?
Yes, if I can remember right, yes, I was on varsity from day one.
Okay, okay, all right. What would you say was your most enjoyable season at Yates?
I would say probably my most enjoyable season. All my seasons was great, but the most enjoyable season I would think would be my junior year.
Your junior year. Okay, so your junior year, you made second team parade All-American. So that was your most enjoyable season. Now, can you tell me why was that your most enjoyable season?
I think learning the game. I had guys on my team that could really play, like Joe
Okay.
Green inside. He was a great center inside, and the rest of the guys with the guard play that we had, the Yanks at the time was
Okay.
before Terry Fox.
Okay.
Even though we had great guard play, one day when we was at Wheatley with that special guard play, Fox threw the ball almost over the backboard, and I went and got it. So I don't know how high I got up that time, but it was amazing. But we had super guard play, and that lob that I caught that I thought was going over the backboard, that was against Wheatley.
Okay.
And I love playing against Wheatley, baby.
I know that's right. My uncle played for JY back in '70, and he talked about all the time. The only team they couldn't beat was Wheatley. He said we beat everybody, but we couldn't beat Wheatley. We just couldn't beat Jackie Carr's team. So I know. There's a rich history between JY and Wheatley.
Yeah, I just think I got a chance to play against.
Okay. Next on, my next question is your senior year. We're talking about your senior year at JY now. You made first team All-American, parade All-American. Talk to me. What was that like?
Oh, it was great. It was great. I had kind of knew a lot of players from the summertime, like different tournaments we got invited to, like for the USA Olympic team that we got invited to in Colorado Springs. So I knew some of the guys like Reggie Williams. Me and him was like ranked through my junior year 1 and 2 in the nation. So kind of knew Reggie pretty good. But just with those guys, with my teammates, with Corbin and Keldrick Martin and Stacy Belcher, Bernard Pink, those guys, we had such a special group. We kind of like a quarterback. I kind of knew where all those guys was going to be on the floor. I knew where Corbin great spots was. I knew where all the great spots was. But that what made the team so great. But that was a special year because all American teams I made, I think it was 3 or 4 of them. McDonald's All-American, and so it was special, very special. Okay. Then with that McDonald's All-American, Coach Malone got to travel with me to Atlanta to play in the game.
Okay, all right, sounds good. I'll never forget. As I was getting ready to graduate, that last month, I went into Coach Malone's office. I said, Coach Malone, you're losing a lot of players, man. You're losing most of your team to graduation. What you gonna do next? He says, Walker, I'm gonna reload. I said, you gonna reload? He said, I'm reloading. And he talked about this guy named Ricky Winslow. At the time, I didn't know about you, Big Rick. He's talking about Ricky Winslow, and then he's telling me about this guy named Carvin Holcomb. I'm like, oh, okay. He said, I'm not worried at all. I'm like, okay. I figured you was losing the state's #1 basketball recruit in Michael Young. And then you got your boy General Taylor leaving, and then you had Kenneth Urban and all those guys leaving. I'm thinking, oh man, what you gonna do? He said, hey, I'm not worried. I'm covered. So he talked about you guys a lot, man. So my question now is, what was it like? I mean, you guys came in to JY together. You, Carvin Holcomb, did Belcher came in with you guys as well?
Yeah, Belcher's, Keldrick Martin, all those guys were with me at Ryan. So we played against Carvin them in city championship.
Oh, really?
When we was at Ryan,
Carvin playing in junior high?
I can't remember where he went to, but him and Earl Swindell was together. I mean, they had a great team. Okay. They had a great team, but we was like, man, I would always remember my Ryan Cub team as well, because we was like an incredible team, man. Incredible team.
Now, you say you at Ryan, did you guys win the championship?
Yeah, we went 36-0.
Wow, 36-0. Now, I did not know that. Great information.
36-0. And my old coach, Coach Pettaway, I'll tell you a little story back in Ryan.
I remember Pettaway. That was a tough guy. Go ahead.
He told us at practice, no one can dunk the basketball.
Okay.
So, we pressing and we playing. And, I hadn't dunked the ball. I think this is 7th grade. So I think Troy gets his hand on the ball, makes a steal. So I hit the lane. He hits it up to Kurt Hogan, and Kurt passed me the ball, and I dunked the ball.
Okay.
That kid must have shook forever, man. That next day,
Okay.
Pit Pops.
Oh,
That's for dunking the ball because he was so disciplined.
oh wow, Petway was tough. I remember him. He
So when I
whooped
got
me
back,
before, so I know. I
yeah,
know
when
how
I got
hard
back
he
to
hit.
Ryan, man, I got back to Ryan. I got 10 pops, but guess what?
What's that?
Every other game we played, I got at least 2 or 3 dunks in the game. So think about the pops I got.
Okay.
So I took my pops.
I can imagine.
I took my. And you
I can
remember back in
imagine.
the day?
Wow.
Remember they had them holes in the paddle?
Uh-huh.
You remember they
Yeah,
had
I
those
remember.
wood paddles with the holes in it? Oh man,
Yeah.
I took it like my. And guess what? My boys would be outside laughing, waiting on me after. And this was in the morning before school started.
Oh my goodness. Dang.
Yeah, so that's my story with Ryan, man. So I'll have to leave
Yeah,
it with
I know. And somebody else, I never forget Coach Malone. We in drafting class. He said, "Come in, have a seat, and be quiet." He told us, "Come in and have a seat and be quiet." And so I saw he was serious. I'm like, I'm sitting down. I'm going to adhere to his instructions. I mean, you had about 5 or 6 people that didn't adhere to his instructions. Took him out in the hallway and gave him all 5 pops. I'm just laughing. I'm laughing my butt off. So he comes back in after get whooping them all up, and I'm sitting over in the corner just laughing. He says, "Walker, you want me to take you out in the hall too and give you some pops?" No, I'm all right. I'm all right, coach. I'm all right. But that guy, he was a character, man. I love that guy.
But hey, we was really disciplined back in the day because we didn't know where it was gonna come from.
Exactly.
So it's a little different from then and now.
Exactly. Over at JY, what team? Okay, you said Wheatley, but is that the only team? What team gave you guys the most trouble? Let's say your junior and senior year. Which team gave you guys the most trouble?
I say Cashmere, Wheatley. That's kind of it to me because Cashmere was pretty good inside. They had a pretty good team.
Okay.
Wheatley had some shooters, man.
Okay.
I'm glad 3-pointer went in when we played back in the day because man, they just up that court. Ball was gone. The only thing
I can imagine.
why we would beat Wheatley so much, I think too, is because you couldn't really press us because we could handle the ball, and I was so tall I could see over the press.
Right.
So, but I would say Wheatley and Cashmere. Milby was kind of decent too back in the day. Milby had some decent teams back in the day.
Okay.
But
Yeah, Coach Horney. Was it Coach Horney? Coach Horney?
Coach Horney. You remember that score when it was 10-12?
Wait a minute. Say that last one. Say it again.
When we played Milby and the score was 10-12.
Wait a minute. I didn't know you guys had a game like that too, because my senior year at Yakes, you had Michael Young and General Taylor. We beat them 14-10.
Yeah,
so you guys had a game like that as well?
Yeah, they held the ball on us. So when I got the ball, went across the court, we was up. So I just held the ball. And so when they came back across the court, they held the ball.
Unbelievable. Because see, they did the same thing when I was senior year. I remember one game, it was 14-10. I'm sitting there, because see, I used to bet. I used to place bets on the side. And I had bet that General Taylor would score at least 15 and Michael Young would score at least 20. So they would combine for 35. The whole team did combine for 35. In fact, the 2 teams did not combine for 35. Yeah. They would win the tip, get the ball, and shoot for the last shot. Sit there and hold the ball for the last shot. I'm like, what kind of basketball is this? Man, I have never been more disappointed in a basketball game in my life, sitting there watching that. So you guys, okay, so when that happened to you, what year was that? What you were 10th, 11th, 12th? Which one?
I think that was my junior year, I think.
Your junior year. So he did that so that was 2 years later. Wow, yeah. Unbelievable. So he and Coach Malone, they obviously had some kind of rivalry, because I don't know no one that does that. I can see one coach doing it, but then the other coach did it as well. So that was a very strange game. If you had to I'm talking about the duo between you and Carvin Holcomb. I mean, because Carvin Holcomb went on and had a lot of success as well. As a duo, how would you compare the two of you to say a duo in the NBA, say now or in years past? How would you compare Carvin Holcomb and yourself? Like, for instance, Tatum and Jaylen Brown for Boston. That's a heck of a duo. You know, you had Shaq and Kobe. That was a heck of a duo. You had Scottie Pippen and Jordan. That was a heck of a duo. How would you compare Carvin Holcomb and yourself as a duo? at the high school level?
I'm trying to see who would we be close to.
Okay,
'Cause
take your time.
I could say more or less. Let's say Michael Jordan and Pippen, LeBron, and I'm trying to see who to compare with LeBron. LeBron and when what was the kid from Duke?
Which team was he on?
That's a little better. And Cleveland, the point guard for Duke. Now he's with that.
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving. Only because I handled the ball a lot, and I could do whenever I wanted to do something, I could do it. But I had to share the ball with my teammates, and Carvin was a great scorer, so I know I could hit Carvin, and he would finish a play. Hit him in the mid range, he's gonna knock that jump shot down. So I would say it would probably be more like LeBron and a Kyrie, of a bigger Kyrie and Carvin Hope.
Okay. All right. So now we're gonna move on to your college days. All right. So now your JY days are over. Okay. All right. So now take me through the process as far as trying to make a decision. Where do you go to college? What do you play college ball? Where are you gonna take your talents? What schools? What were your top 3 schools?
Well, my top 3 schools was Louisville, because remember now, Louisville, I'm committed kind of to Louisville, coming from Rhyme to high school. So Louisville has been in the mix the whole time.
Okay.
The next one probably I would say U of H.
Okay.
And I would probably say it might, out of Syracuse and Oklahoma, I think it was more Oklahoma, because they had I'm trying to think the guy they had. They had a good team. They had the big guy in the middle. I think he passed away, but they had, I can't remember what was the center, left-handed. That's it, Wayman Tisdale.
Okay.
So that's who took me out on the trip, Tisdale.
Okay.
So, but that decision was leaning towards Louisville the whole time.
Okay. So then my next question is, what made you decide on U of H?
Well, I told my kids and my son them this not even long ago, and I always tell this story. So I go on a recruiting trip to Louisville, right?
Okay.
Had a great time, Rodney McCray up there, Billy Thompson. I mean, I was ready to sign.
Okay.
I think I went to Coach Houston's house. His son was small at the time.
Okay.
The score that went to New York. So I'm chilling. I'm loving it, man. I'm like, and Coach Cron was so respectful. He was like, I said, "Can I sign?" He was like, "No, we're gonna wait and have a press conference in Houston."
Okay.
I said, "Huh?" I said, "I really want to sign now because I don't know what's gonna really happen when I get back to Houston."
Okay. And he screwed up then, because you was ready to sign right then.
Man, I see Rodney McCray to this day in HEB or somewhere at the grocery store. He just threw up his arms.
I can imagine.
So when I get back to Hobby Airport, man, believe me not, they had probably at least 8,000 people in the airport, just like a game with pom-poms. And I came in on a private flight from Louisville. Man, when I pulled up and I walked through the tunnel to come back through, man, they was cheering, cool. They had pom-poms, they had everything, man. So,
wow.
I mean, you couldn't even, like, you know how Yates Halls was when the bell rung and you barely could kind of get through? You could barely squeeze through the people cheering, man, the fans cheering. So I said, to myself, man, I can't leave Houston. So that did it right now. Them all those fans showing up at the airport, man. I mean, at least 10 to 8,000 people at Hobby Airport.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yes. So after that,
obviously they really set it out for you then.
Yes, sir. So when after that, because I never really visited University of Houston.
Okay. All right. My next question is, Michael Young, he's already at University of Houston. He's 3 years ahead of you. He's now going into his senior year, you coming in as a freshman. My question is, did he have any impact on your decision to attend U of H?
Oh yeah, a lot. I look up at Michael like a big brother, They won, even when I wasn't at Yates and I used to be at the YMCA, and I used to see Rob Williams and Calvin Murphy. A lot of times the Rockets would work out at the YMCA, and Mike would be there. And I remember when like Mike probably was like ninth grade or something, they wouldn't let me play. And
Really?
like Murphy, no, I got scars on my forehead with playing Murphy before they practice one-on-ones. They would not let me play. So Michael was that type of guy, would stay sometime and go under my, I would take me on his wing, you know, like after they finish, work out with me a little bit. And then finally, and this before I even, I think this was the year going into my 7th grade year.
Okay.
And then once they let me play, it was over. Because I had been working out with Murphy. I would see a little bit of Rob Williams. I see Michael Young in there playing. And so Mike was kind of like that big brother to me.
Okay.
You know, just seeing where he had been, where he's at, and then seeing how Five Slammer Jammer was doing in those days with Clyde and Larry Mishaw, you know, those guys, and Rob, amazing player as well. I mean, Rob was like the next Isaiah Thompson out of the Texas base, man. Incredible player.
I remember Rob. I remember Rob. I was at Miller.
Rob.
I went to Miller 7th and 8th, and then they closed down Miller. Then I went to Ryan in 9th grade. I remember going into our 8th grade year, the Miller ball players were saying, "Oh, we're going to win the city this year. We're going all the way." And the first district game was against Lanier, and they lost. I said, "Y'all lost to Lanier, and y'all talking about going all the way. Y'all couldn't beat Lanier." I didn't know Lanier had a guy named Rob Williams. They say, "You don't know Rob Williams." I said, "I guess I don't." Man, I learned about Rob Williams as time progressed. Rob Williams, a bad boy. That was a bad boy. So yeah, I
remember sitting on the floor at the Y, you know, watching all those guys. A lot of the Rockets used to work out there because I think they used to play in Hopkins. Okay. So they used to come over there and work out. Man, I used to see Rob work and try to do some stuff. I'm like, how is he going behind his back and spinning out of it between his legs? So, you know, me, every time he would leave and those guys would leave, I'd be on the floor working on those moves all day long. All day long. All of Michael Young going, finishing with the left hand, nice little shot. But man, it was like some amazing basketball played back then. I mean, now that we know who you was around, it's almost like player at university. I think he didn't get all because even when I think he was the second leading scorer, even with Rob Williams. And then when Rob left, Mike was the leading scorer, period. But you know, he didn't get a lot of credit for that I think he should have. But you know, things like that happen sometimes. But I think Michael was outstanding, man. And great leadership. I mean, amazing guy, man. So I mean, that was like a big brother to me. So
I got you. All right. So now, you're at U of H now. We passed the recruiting process. You're at U of H. First practice, you're freshman, fresh out of JY. Your first practice, and you see Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. Of course, at that time his name was Hakeem. All right, it wasn't Hakeem. Well, Hakeem. And then you had Michael Young, and then you had Benny Andrews, and you had Alvin Franklin on the court with you. Were you just a little bit overwhelmed with all those guys? Just a little bit? No.
Because I had been playing against them. Like we had the sports festival in Colorado Springs for the USA team.
Okay.
Like my junior year, and then again my senior year. So you know, I was playing like with Kenny Walker out of Kentucky. You know, he was there. A lot of the freshmen was there. So my mindset was always from sitting on that floor when I couldn't play. Go at them, because you may not get that opportunity again.
Okay.
So every time I had a chance to try to dunk on Olajuwon or finish strong or block his shot, man, I tried to dunk on him hard as I could. So getting to the basket for an and one or getting a steal. So I went hard. So I didn't care if it was Alvin Franklin or Olajuwon. You know, you gonna get it. And I had some takeoffs, man, where you'd be like, "Whoa, he gonna hit the backboard." So
I was going to ask you that. Did you ever get a chance to dunk on Olajuwon?
Oh yeah, many times in practice. Oh yeah. Now I got dunked on too because I'm gonna try to block Olajuwon's shot.
Okay.
Yeah, so I dunked on Olajuwon many times. Oh, in practice, if you saw our practice,
wait a minute. You dunked on me. I'm talking about as a freshman.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, then again, that was the only year he was there with you.
But now I ain't got dunked on too now. Because
what about Young? Did you dunk on Michael Young?
Oh yeah. I mean, with us, you was getting dunked on. I mean, Alan Franklin may catch you. You know what I'm saying? Another guy that would catch you every once in a while that you couldn't sleep on in our practice was Eric Dickerson. You remember Eric Dickerson?
Oh, you're the football player? The football player?
Out of Madison High School, point guard.
Oh, yes, I remember him. Yes, I remember him now.
Yeah,
yes,
so I mean, yes, Eric could get up too. So, I mean, if you was at the practice, you got dunked.
Gotcha. I got you. All right. So here we are, coming to the end of your freshman year at University of Houston. You guys in the Final Four. It's Houston's third consecutive season in the Final Four. All right. So now you're in the championship game. You're going up against Georgetown and Patrick Ewing and that big team. That was a big team. So my question to you is, were you just a little bit overwhelmed, Rick, as a freshman?
I think I was not really overwhelmed. I think the Final Four, before the ball was thrown up, I was nervous in the Final Four. Against Virginia.
Okay.
When we played Virginia. But once the ball was thrown up, it was over. Maybe like a
Virginia. Who did they have? They had Olin Polynesians on that team?
Yep. They had Olin Polynesian. I'm trying to see who else they had. They had a good team. I can't remember who all they had, but they had a really, really good team, man. Really, really good.
All right, so you guys obviously didn't win the championship game. You lost to Georgetown in the final game. That was the third consecutive loss in the Final Four. So my question is, I know that team had to be extremely disappointed. My question is, were there any fights? Anybody get upset when they got in a fight? Because I know how disappointing it is to lose the third consecutive Final Four. Any fights?
No, I think we had so much love for each other. You know where you saw the fights at? You know where the fights came in at practice?
What's that?
It was a fight almost every other day at the practice at University of Houston. Because
the fights were at practice?
Yeah, you got the fights in practice. So when you try to make the team, just like you saying somebody dunking on you or somebody holding you or somebody fouling you or somebody elbowing you.
Right.
It was a fight at practice all the time.
Right.
Like Eric Dickerson fighting a lot. Then Guy Villa sent him to the top and you run your laps together and you come back down and you shake hands. Guy would just step out the way and let you fight. So the game against Georgetown, I think some of the guys that we didn't really, I would say you wasn't as respectful because like Reggie Williams was really their scorer back in the day, and I think the other guard. So you really didn't look at that, but then Graham had a good game out of nowhere with some dunks.
Yeah, Graham. I was like, who is this Graham guy? Yeah, he played big in that game. Yeah.
Yeah, he was catching some dunks, man. It was like, we couldn't get to him because, you're going to help out, and next thing you know, the lob is over your head. Next thing you know, man. And I think his play kind of turned the momentum to Georgetown, because I think we got like 6 or something, and then he had some nice dunks that kind of put him back up. And Reggie had some little turnaround jumpers like mid-range that put him above too. Patrick Ewing and Elijah were kind of like
offset.
Kind of offset at each other in that game.
Right. Wow, that was really disappointing to see you guys.
But no fights. We had love for each other, man. Because you look at North Carolina, the Final Four in New Orleans with Rob and Lee Shaw and all those guys. Then they go back. The one they should have won, should have won against North Carolina State.
Yes.
And then
I never forget that game. I was at PV and I was in my room, and when that last shot, I sat there for like 5 minutes, just sat there. I'm like, tell me that this was just a nightmare. Please tell me they're gonna come back in and turn the lights back on and replay that last play. I was devastated. I lost about $30, and that was a lot of money back then. So I know how disappointing that was. All right, Rick, what would you say was your best season at University of Houston? Which season would you say was your best season?
My junior year.
Your junior year, okay. Mm-hmm. Why was that your best season? It was your best season statistically, or was your best season from the standpoint of expectations versus what was accomplished?
I think growth, maturity, scoring wise, rebounding. I think that was my best year because the year after that, that was the year before that was Gabby Lewis last year.
Oh, was it? Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't realize
so,
that.
Yeah, so when Gabby left, Pat Foster came in, and with Gabby, we was more transition.
Right.
Getting up and down the floor. So when Pat Foster came in, we went more inside. And Cadillac was inside, so he wanted the ball to go inside, back outside. And Cadillac developed a lot that summer, and going inside the Cadillac so much in practice and stuff, Cadillac developed really well inside.
Okay. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I mean,
Right. I had never heard of him.
freshman
I had
year,
never heard of Cadillac.
yeah, but his senior year, he did well. I think Cadillac might have averaged about 16 points or so.
Right. All right. Right. He went on to play for
Cadillac's my man. Cadillac's my guy. And I think he really can play, and so he had a hell of an NBA career.
All right. How's Cadillac doing these days?
He's doing great. I just saw my man. It's still like that brotherhood, man. Always looking out, calling. He's doing good, man. I mean, great. He's doing good.
Okay. All right, Rick. We're gonna come away from your college days now. We're gonna move over to your pro days. All right, college days are over. What now?
I just want to mention
it's time to prepare for the draft. What's time to prepare for the draft? Talk to me. What was that process like? Take me through that process, preparing for the draft.
Well, then I had went to men's. We had went to a lot of the pre-draft, and so me and Scottie Pippen got to be real tight, like boys. So so we got real tight, and through all the camps and stuff, we was roommates and all that. And then we was roommates, and a lot of times they would make us go against each other in the camps. Okay. So I'm home. I didn't go to the draft, and Scottie called me. He said, he had got picked in the lottery. I think it was 8 pick or something. He said, man, Chicago getting ready to pick you if this other team don't take you or something. Because I think it was another team before, and I think it was San Antonio.
Okay.
He said, if they don't pick you, they're going to pick you 28 pick. So he called me. I'm on the phone with him. I'm talking to him. So next thing comes up, Chicago Bulls select Ricky Winslow. So everything was true. Because he was right there. He was right there at the table.
All right. My next question is, did you have a preference? What team you wanted to play for? I mean, I know University. I know you have the Rockets and everything. But did you have a preference on where you wanted to go, other than say perhaps the Rockets?
Besides the Rockets,
right?
Chicago was cool. Somewhere San Antonio would have been. It wouldn't have mattered because I just would think of it as a blessing. But when you come in and you got with Chicago, I come in and we loaded with forwards. So we got Horace Grant come in the same year as me. We had looked guard Tony White, Scottie Pippen. Then we had a few guys already there, so they was kind of loaded. So I would have rather went somewhere where it wasn't as many forwards or guards, and Mike at the guard. So where you could come in and you could play, because to me the best experience is playing. So if you ever get the opportunity to play, it's great, especially your rookie season, because time means a lot on the court. So but coming in playing with Mike and being around Mike and seeing that work ethic and practice and all that, that was great for me as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. My next question is now. All right. So you're in Chicago. You've been drafted by Chicago, 28th overall, which is early second round. All right. First practice. Talk to me. What was that like? You're on the court with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant. Talk to me, Rick. Well, you're just a little bit overwhelmed.
I keep going back. It's like, it's just what got it when started as a youngster. When I couldn't play, whenever I got on the court, I was going to do my best and play my hardest. And my son, I think, plays like that now, just in the NBA. Now, I think he just plays so hard. Right. And so I think he just got in his genes. So when I get on the court, I'm bringing it. So I see Mike, seeing Mike, being around Mike, incredible person. We go to Mike's house after workouts, eat and all that. But when we on the court, we are going at it. I mean, we're gonna go at it. Just like with Scottie, all the camps we had, we went at each other. He gonna try to get me, I'm gonna try to get him. whether it's a layup, a good move, a dunk, whatever it may be. It was the same with Mike, just like with everyone in college. Mike got me sometime, I got him sometime. And Mike, the only thing with Mike was so quick, and he could use his, when he was in the air, he could use his body so well. Some things you might have seen with Mike catching the arm, moving the arm out the way, dunking the ball. It would happen so quick you didn't see it, but he was an amazing player.
Right.
And I think in the beginning, but after we hit the court, nah. I mean, we would go at, because, me and Scotty, when we came in, we was on the same team a lot as well as rookies against the vets. Gotcha. And so we would go, they had something with Sports Illustrated one time, and you probably can look it up back. Doug Collins was our coach, right?
Okay.
Bill Jackson was the assistant.
Okay.
And Tex Winters was the assistant coach.
Okay.
So, man, we going at Mike and them, we tearing their butt up, man. We going at them, we dunking on them, we doing everything. So Doug called out the score, and Mike say, "No, that ain't the score. That ain't the score. I got the score in my head. That ain't the score." So we going at him, my brother. Mike going up, we grabbing it off the backboard up by the square, taking it back the other way. And Tex Winters is old school, so Tex say, "Man, them young fellas is getting them today, man. Them young fellas, ooh, they ain't letting Mike get nothing." So Mike had a conflict in the score. So Mike got his backpack after he cheated. We was just going to shoot at the end of practice after work, and he just left. They pissed Mike off. So Mike left.
Okay.
And the next day we came to practice. Oh my, he was tearing all our ass up. I was like, man, we trying to stop him. That sucker he was like,
yeah, woke up a sleeping giant, huh?
Man, but that day before, shoot, he was looking at sneakers just like everybody look at his, bro.
I know that's right.
But that was awesome, man. Mike was a great guy, amazing talent. But that was I would say Chicago, just that experience was great for me.
Gotcha. Did you, being at training camp with those guys, did you have any idea that those two guys, Jordan and Pippen, were going to turn into what they turned into?
No. And then they traded me out to Milwaukee. So for somebody that, man, Granville Waiters, 6'11" Granville Waiters, man.
Wait a minute, they traded you for Granville?
Yeah, I think I got traded in February.
Okay.
February, March. Yeah, so I got traded to Milwaukee. So I was good. That's where I met Lucas at, John Lucas.
Okay.
John Lucas was my captain in Milwaukee. So when I went to Milwaukee, I was with Paul Presley.
Okay.
Jack Sigma.
Sidney Moncrief?
Sidney Moncrief. Man, when I went there, you talking about a group of vets.
Okay.
Man, that was powerful there. Jordan was trying to get his and make his, but when I got to that team, my eyes was more open.
Okay.
Because the guys that I was around, all of them was good, man. All of them was really good. Really, really good. But Mike was one of the best talents I've been around. I say Mike, Olajuwon, that I played with in Pitt, but I would never have known Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan to turn out to who they are today.
Gotcha. All right. So now at this point, you played with the Bucks briefly, and so now you've decided to take your talents overseas. I know this had to be a big adjustment for you because you basically been playing in Third Ward pretty much all your life. Ryan and Yates, and then University of Houston, you're still in Third Ward. So now you about to go overseas and play in another country. Talk to me. How did you feel about that, going overseas?
Well, I ended up, I'll tell you where I ended up. I ended up with Seattle Seahawks, Supersonics the following year after Milwaukee.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I ended up there, and then I left mid-season to go to Europe. They offered me a nice contract at the time, and me and Avery Johnson was teammates at the time there. We was those guys on back and forth on IR, and I really wanted to play. And Don, I think it was Don Chaney Don Chaney was our coach. Was Don Chaney? And when I see him to this day, he said, "I know what's gonna cut you, right?" He said, no, I was gonna keep you on the team, just like Avery Johnson. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, but when I left, I don't give it up because Europe, man, Europe was awesome for me, man.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, Europe was awesome. Awesome. My game went from, I'm gonna say, from being maybe like a 60-70% all around player. I mean, from scoring wise to defense to everything, to probably like a 95%.
Okay. Okay.
So most of the people in Europe, they called me the baby Michael Jordan in Europe.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was in Madrid, so I mean, I couldn't even go halftime. I couldn't even go to the grocery store, bro.
Wow.
I couldn't. I have to have somebody because people they would come and they want autographs. They rush the car. I mean, that it was amazing. So it was amazing in Europe, especially in Madrid and Spanish Club of Estudiantes. I mean, they love you to this day. I get all kind of messages and stuff, man. How could I tell you? I would say my Club of Estudiantes, the team that I played for in Madrid,
Okay.
and University of Houston are probably the most, I would say them and Yates are the three teams that support me to this day more than anything.
Okay. Interesting.
Mhm.
I was going to ask you, how long did it take for you to adapt to playing overseas? You know, because I mean, I know it's a culture difference there. And then the fans, I'm sure they didn't know how to speak English. And then you probably had a lot of teammates that probably didn't know how to speak English. So I was going to ask you, how long did it take you to adapt to playing overseas?
To really adapt to overseas, it probably took me about a year and a half.
Okay.
Because that's just off the court activity, like grocery shopping. Couldn't hardly go to the grocery store because you get bum rush, so you couldn't go there. You know, everybody wanted an autograph at the grocery store.
Gotcha.
So even going to places to eat, like fast food spots, you couldn't really go to that. The biggest adapter was to me because I stayed in a lot.
Okay.
I know you remember back in the day that VHS, right?
Yes.
So that was my TV, man, back in the day. So I would tape all the sitcoms here, a lot of the sporting events. So when I go back, when I'm chilling in my apartment or home, I would watch a lot of movies and stuff. So off the court became good to me. Then when I started to adjust, a lot of my teammates on the Estudiantes, a lot of them speak English.
Okay.
So a lot of my guys now, like Juan Herrera, he was the USA coach. One of my shooting guards, Alberto Herrera, is the general manager for Real Madrid. You might have heard of Real Madrid football.
Oh, yes.
Team.
Yes.
Nacho Asofa was a manager with the Club of Estudiantes, who I played for. So a lot of the guys that was on my team was really young, but they developed with me there. So in the team, the first year we wasn't in the European Cup. So the European Cup is a whole nother league that's top notch. Like you playing against all the players in Europe.
Okay.
From Russia to Turkey to Israeli. You play against everybody, man. And the league is so good. Maccabi Tel Aviv was great every year. They had a player on there at the end, Oscar Smith. I think he played with Brazilian national team.
Okay.
Unbelievable score, man. About 6'8", 6'9". If he would have been here in the league, he'd been kind of like a Larry Bird.
Okay.
Sabonis. Well, you got a chance to see Sabonis.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, Sabonis.
Highly skilled.
Oh, but when he was young,
right.
I mean, he could catch the ball and throw a behind the back pass for a fast break on the money.
Wow.
And he got one of my MVPs. So.
Oh really?
One of my MVPs from one of the All-Star games, but it's
okay.
Yeah. So, but amazing talent. I mean, I had a great time. A lot, like I said again, a lot of the players that I played with when I was on my team, Club of Estudiantes, they developed and became great players, but also great business people in the Spanish ACB community. You know, really good.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to interject that we have the video ready, Jeff.
Okay, Rick. Let's see how many more questions I had left. Okay, Rick, let's go ahead and play the video now. It's only about 2 minutes.
That's fine.
All right. You ready, Cole?
Can you see it?
No, I don't see the video. Rick, can you see the video?
I see it. I see
Okay.
it. I put my glasses on. It's so small.
Okay, I can't see it, but okay, I don't have to see it. I've already seen it. I saw it twice.
I think I've seen this one before. That's in Spain. That's our arena. We seated about 12,000.
Mano, qué bonito lo hizo Winslow.
Look like you was more of a guard. Were you playing guard?
I was playing guard. I was kind of playing like around, a little bit of everything. I mean, Yates, a little bit of everything. You know, my
Okay.
shot had developed so much, man. My shot had got so much better.
Okay. Yeah, you look more fluid. You look more fluid.
Winslow y ya ven lo que hizo. Perfecta su explicación de casualidad. Se cruza por ahí, se la encuentra. Qué error de Lizar. Una vez más, este chico ya ha perdido en otro partido, en la semifinal. Ya perdió 2 balones, uno en el primer tiempo y otro en el segundo tiempo. 2 balones. Intentar aprovechar esa circunstancia técnica. Pues 10-0 le ha colocado el Barcelona a Estudiantes. Hay canasta de Winslow. Vamos a ver, porque había muchos jugadores, si es Trumbo. Efectivamente se la quedó Trumbo. La segunda. Ahora quien puede hacer jugada de 3 es Estudiantes. Ni siquiera se han enterado de que podían darle el balón y poder sacar una quinta falta de Solozábal. Está pisando Winslow, es de 2. Y además hay falta personal de Norris, tercera. Ahora sí lo vio perfectamente Mateo Ramos, tenía el pie encima de la línea. Cambio de canastas que desde hace varios minutos están sosteniendo los dos equipos. Winslow divide perfectamente, llega hasta debajo y con suavidad, lo justito, deposita dentro el balón. Contraataque de Solozábal y el partido que va ganando en emoción. Pone la mano Pinone, recupera Estudiantes, está por delante Winslow en solitario, ahora lo ven, Winslow que casi la pierde. Solozábal, ¡qué barbaridad! Solozábal muy inteligentemente lo ha dejado pasar. Se consumió ya la mitad de la posesión, menos de 3 minutos para el final. Antúnez arriesga un triple, balón para Pinone, balón para Winslow y adentro ahí hubo de todo.
Okay.
He had to save that for the playground.
Okay. All right, Carl. We come off the video. Okay, Rick.
All right.
All right, I'm finna go and
coming
finish
off.
the interview. Outstanding. You look great. You look great in that video. It looks so fluid, man. Look like you did. I see why you were a big star. You know, you look like Jordan. I mean, with those moves, outstanding job.
Can I ask a couple questions,
You had
Jeff?
to really play over
Okay.
there.
Okay, go ahead, Carl.
Brother Rick, I wanted to ask about today's NBA climate and whether your son Justice has got, in your opinion, a fair shake, and what do you see as the future in the NBA?
Well, the only thing I tell Just to be thankful because, you know, you won a national championship and you got drafted to Miami and as a lottery pick number 10. So the first thing is you're blessed and be thankful for the opportunity to be in the NBA, because once you're in the NBA, it's nothing like being in the NBA. I mean, the NBA is amazing. I mean, just the brotherhood of the NBA. I mean, if you can stick 8 to 10 years in the NBA, you're fine. I think he played well with Miami. I think he had a little slump of injuries and he got traded to Memphis, but you still have to be thankful for that team that brought you in and the clubs that you go to and that you play for. Whatever you go through, because it's really a business. The NBA is the biggest business in the world, sports, period. And you have to look at it like that. And then he got traded to the Clippers, where he got picked up by the Clippers, then traded from the Clippers to Portland. So he's in Portland now. He had an ankle injury that sidelined him, but you know, he got a good rebound and he came down on someone's foot. But my whole thing about to him is being thankful for, you know, the people that helped to get you there, and the people that took care of you when you got in a certain place, like a Duke with Coach K, Miami, Coach Motion. You know, regardless of whatever happened, be thankful for them because they didn't have to draft you to Miami.
Right. And he went like 6th overall, didn't he?
He went 10.
10th. Okay, 10th.
And so that was a lot of, but that's great.
That's outstanding. I was considering he only played 1 year of college ball. That's
Yeah.
outstanding. Right.
Yeah.
How did you feel about his decision to come out after just 1 year, Rick? How did you feel about that?
I talked about they caught me, I think, on CBS Sports, I think down at the Final Four, because I thought even though they won the championship, I think one more year would have been great. But sometimes in the moment, you have to take what's on the table for you, because God put certain things in front of you for a reason. And so, winning the championship, was great, amazing. I think if it had with me and him winning the championship, I would always want my son to win the championship over me.
Gotcha.
Because that shows that determination and the work ethic that he do, even though it's at Duke, but you still had to go. It's hard to get to the Final Four. It's not easy at all. You can look at Houston with that right now, the Cougs. It's hard, but I mean, he took it well, and he went on to Miami, where he did great. I think he had good people in his corner, with family, and Coach Sproul, was a good person for him. I used to go to a lot of the shooting around practice, so with Wade was good for him. So they had, I think he had a good time in Miami, and you have to cherish those moments, because sometimes you don't get them back. That's why I always tell you, when I step on the court, I play like it's my last time, because you may not get that opportunity again.
That's
true. He played hard too, because you may not get it again. And so right now, he kind of going through it, trying to find the right team, and really just trying to stay healthy, because he can still play the game as well as anybody in the league.
Okay. Actually, I had a few more questions for you. Actually, I had some questions for Justice, but looked like my partner already jumped the gun and went over to Justice. So that's fine. We flexible here. Back to your career. What would you say was your best season overseas?
I would say maybe, overseas, I would say with Club Estudiantes in Madrid, when we was in the Euro Cup. We went to the European Final Four.
Okay.
And that was a great season. And I also went to the European Final Four with FS Pearson. You know Idai Turkoglu, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So on that team, I think Idai was like 18. I kind of took him under my wing.
Okay.
But the best moment, both of those teams was in the European Championship, but the one in FS we played in Greece. But I would say the one with Club Estudiantes would be my favorite.
What was your highest scoring average for a season?
I think it was, I want to say 28,
okay,
25, 28. I got MVP twice in Spain.
Ooh, outstanding.
I played a year once in Turkey.
Okay.
Yeah, so
wow.
Yeah, so man, in the culture, the lifestyle. Oh man, it's like, I mean, it's just living it. It's like another side of the world that you haven't seen, but just amazing, man. I just had that when I first got there, just adjusting, it was a struggle a little bit. But once I kind of fit in and the people was behind me, I say, man, it was the lifestyle, just living is one of the best you can have, man. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
Okay, sounds good, man. My next question, I know Michael Young played overseas as well. Did you ever play against him overseas?
Oh yeah. That's what I say. That's why Mike kind of brother. I see Mike, he played with Vital Lid in Spain. I mean, just seeing them get it done. And the other guy, Mr. Mean, Larry Michaud, he did his thing overseas. He had a great season. A great career overseas. Michael Young. I'm trying to see who else from this area back then. Who else would have been playing overseas? There's probably a few more guys. Just those guys from the Houston area. They had great careers as well. Michael and Larry. Michael won a couple of championships, I think, in France in Le Mans.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. I'm trying to get Mike on the show soon. Probably in May. Try to get Mike on the show. All right. My next question is, with the high number of international players that are now in the NBA, how long do you think before the NBA or America will no longer be dominating in the Olympics? I mean, we've already seen some of that.
That already happened. See, to me, I think the ball of play that we're playing now, It was tough in Europe
Mhm.
inside. I mean,
Okay.
it was physical. You got hit and you had to finish getting hit. It wasn't no flavoring foul or nothing. It was just a guy helping you back up. You got hit.
Right.
Here, it's kind of like in my later part of my career in Europe, where it was a lot of jump shots. And a lot of the European big men, because I had a couple, Mikovic that played with me and Tarkon, we real good friends to this day.
Okay.
He's one of the guys that got Luka to the state. Well, he worked out Luka,
Okay.
his trainer. But
Okay.
anyway, a lot of the Yugoslavs and Croatians, you know, before they went to war, they was like family, man. Like Luka and Divac, and then they became like enemies just because of the Civil War.
Okay.
But why I'm saying that as my point is, those guys from that country, man, could shoot the basketball. Stojakovic, I can't really say his name. He could shoot the ball so well, man. Those guys can really shoot the ball, and that's kind of how the NBA to me is today. Like, if you're a good shooter, you'll stick around because the NBA game and change so much, man. It didn't change tremendously. I mean, it's not, they don't let you play physical anymore. So it's really a perimeter game. So
Right.
I put it like this here too. Let the Rockets get about 4 good perimeter players and maybe a big. The Rockets they're gonna be right back. It's just because that's what the game is right now. Like with Steph and Clay, if you can shoot the basketball, another one, DeAndre Fox, and I can't get the other guy name at Sacramento. I mean, if you can shoot, if Dame can shoot the ball, that's what the game is now. Even in Phoenix, you got the point guards.
You got Chris Paul, you got Devin Booker, and
they're perimeter players, and they can really shoot the ball. So
Steph Curry.
Yeah, that's kind of what, even when you look at Memphis, you got Morant that can get to the basket so well, but he can shoot the ball as well. Then they get surrounded with shooters. So that's kind of, the lead is more perimeter than, and that's how Europe is. Europe is more of a perimeter game. So if you develop, like when I went over, I kind of developed my perimeter game, and that's why I say it took my game to a whole nother level. I just signed long-term contracts, and I couldn't come back home.
Gotcha. You how do you keep in contact with your JY guys like Kedrick Martin, Stacey Belcher, Carvin Holcomb, Terry Fox? How often you guys get together? You ever get together and go out to dinner?
We get together, but we have like a little text messenger that it's like 10 or 12 of us all, you know, something ever happened, one of us we call, you know, give each other some love, let each other, everybody know what's going on with the family. So we stay in touch all the time. Maybe hear from each other, maybe every 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. Hopefully we'll have Carvin Holcomb on the show sometime in the next 6 weeks. He expressed an interest. We just gotta nail it down, the time. Okay, Rick, let's talk about your family life. I understand you have 5 children. So you're a father of 5 children. You got one son that's already in the NBA. We already talked about him. My question is, given the fact that you already had a career, a basketball career, an outstanding basketball career, how much of that was a huge help or benefit to Justice?
I think a big benefit, but I think the biggest benefit, because with me, just when I was playing at the end, Just was a baby. So like my other son, like Cedric, they was older. Cedric, Brandon got to have the European experience. Cedric got to see the European experience, and Josh got to see it a little bit. My daughter was born in Italy, so she was a little preemie in Italy, but she got to experience it. So when Just was a baby, but Just didn't really get to experience Europe like the older ones. So he just hear a lot about it, you know, because he was younger. So he hear a lot. He went over where I played and visit some of the teams and cities and stuff. But I think just like back in the day when we used to work out, like my older, we talk about Europe and a lot of basketball, just life, things like that. And Just always was the one that would just sit back and listen. I didn't have to tell how to tell Just. Like I'll be explaining to my daughter crossover moves, when we get to the gym, we're gonna work on this, we're gonna work on that. And when I get to the gym, Just already be doing that.
Okay.
Because he was the baby, just, he
Okay.
just little baby sitting in the back, but he listened to everything. So he trying to do everything that he hearing me say.
Quick question. How did you prepare Justice for the draft?
Well, he had a whole lot of people in the draft, because to me, it was the workouts and then adjusting and being ready for the draft. Just knowing, my only thing is like some of the interviews you go to, just be polite, be the person you are, because they had already done a background check on you and investigations on you anyway. So that's gonna come to interviews and all of that. But my whole thing was I kind of planned, I knew what was coming. I knew the journey, I knew where it could take you. It's just when the financial situation changed, be able to handle that situation. By meaning, you can't be in the street at a certain time. You got to know certain areas of a city. You got to know the people that are around you. And his mom did well with that too. But to me, that's the biggest thing, because you could be in the wrong place, wrong time, and that shuts everything down. Then you got to know who your friends are around you. So,
Gotcha.
Just being around that, to me, that was the biggest thing. I mean, just knowing who your friends are, knowing your surroundings, knowing what to do when you do get some money, So I think it took a while just to even get a car. I mean, he had some deals in Miami. I think his first 5 years, well, he didn't even buy a car. So
wow.
Yeah, so
unusual.
that's the difference. I think he bought his mom a vehicle, and the rest of the cars that he had, he did an endorsement for him, so he drove them for free.
Okay, very interesting. Now, if I'm wrong, you can let me know. Isn't Justice going to be a free agent this offseason? Isn't he a free agent coming up this offseason?
Yeah, that's up to Portland.
Okay. Oh, okay. So Portland has have rights to him. In other words, they have an option.
They can sign him back, or he'll be a free agent if they don't sign him back.
So they have a team. They have a team option, or is he unrestricted?
Unrestricted.
Unrestricted.
After the end of the season, if they don't sign him at a certain part of time.
Okay, that's going to lead me to my next question. Since he is unrestricted free agent, and the Rockets got tons and tons of cap space, what do you think about the possibility of him coming back to Houston?
Oh, I would love it. I mean, I think Houston would be a good spot for him. I mean, Houston would be a great situation. I think it'll be great. I think like Portland was great for him. He just got injured. I think he could come here and it'll be a great place, because he could come in. This would be going on his 9th season. And Rockets do well in the draft. Mm-hmm. They need some leadership, some veteran leadership, and he could get that to him, plus some play, some good play too as well. So, and you always need a good leader in your corner as well, and he still can play the game. So I think that'd be a perfect fit.
Question: How old was Justice when he finally bested his father in basketball? When he finally beat you one-on-one in basketball, how old was he?
I'll probably say St. John's. Okay. Just messing around. And I mean, they weren't beating me in basketball. It was probably 3 baskets and game over.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm coming up on my last questions, Rick. We almost through here. What would you advise the University of Houston hoopsters, those who are headed to the draft process? What would be your advice to those individuals, like the Walker guy? I think he's projected to go in the top 8. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to those guys?
First off, it'll be have somebody in your corner financially that knows something about money. Okay. I mean, don't be financially illiterate. Learn about money. I mean, learn about the different businesses of the NBA. So know what you're going into before you get there. But then have somebody with your back. If you need, don't be afraid to ask questions. If it's something you don't know, just sit there, ask questions, because this is yours. This is yours now that you're getting because of hard work and the investment that you put in yourself and determination. So, but also just like I said about my son, know, to me, the different your friends, but also always, whatever city you in, kind of get to know the city. That's really important. Sometimes we take it for granted. Like when you go in the NBA, you have a lot of meetings, and sometimes you have the security meeting. My meeting that I like the best was just the security meeting. You go through so many different things just about security, because financially you on another level now. Some of these guys gonna get 36 to probably 40-something $million coming out of school.
Right.
So, I mean, top 5, that's probably what you're gonna get. So then it'll probably start dropping down, but something in that range, you know. So that's, to me, the biggest thing. And then you gotta, it's different now. You are your business. So you gotta protect your business, your image.
Right.
So
exactly.
So if you can do that, and you don't end up in the wrong place, wrong time, you know, you're young, you don't want to go out. I mean, you want to hang out, know who your friends are. I mean, anything can happen. You can be with somebody that can have something. So, I mean, if you can stay clear of that and try to take care of your body, make sure you're getting rest on the road. Don't try to hang out with all the vets in the league.
Okay.
And if you can get your rest and take care of your body, you'll go a long way in the league. And I love Walker. I think Walker's going to be a great NBA player. I think he has a big upside.
If Houston, let's say Houston don't end up with the first, second, or third pick. Let's say the Rockets end up with the 5th pick. If you're the Rockets, do you take him at 5?
If everybody else is gone, yeah, I would. I mean, but I think they're gonna get one of the other 3. So I think I would love to see the French kid come here. I mean, that would be amazing.
The big 7'4" kid.
Yes, I think he's about 7'5". And the other guy is Scott.
Everybody want him.
Scott. What's the other guard name? Scoot. I think it's Scoot or Scott.
Scoot, yeah, Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, he's pretty good. But the other kid that I think got a big upside too is the kid out of Alabama.
Alabama.
I think he's 6'9", smooth. Kind of remind me of Durant.
They actually got Houston in the mock draft, get with the 3rd pick in the mock draft, and they got Houston taking him.
That'd be a good mock draft.
Okay.
He's gonna be really good. Really good.
Okay.
Like a Durant. That's kind of what you're getting.
Okay. You think he got a chance to be as good as Durant?
Oh yeah. If he can keep improving. Because he's 6'9" and he can shoot from outside and he got ball handling skills.
So is he a 3 or a 4? Is he a 3 or a 4?
3.
A 3. Okay.
He's not really a 4.
Okay. That's good size. 6'9" for a 3. That's good size for a 3. Last question, Rick.
He reminds me a lot of Durant.
Okay. Last question, Rick. All right. What are you doing now, Rick? I understood you did some coaching. Are you still coaching or what?
No, I was coaching. I still got my foundation where we deal with different kids. We deal with different kids in the community with literacy.
Okay.
Construction company now where we deal with remodeling, patios, and
okay.
a little bit of everything with homes.
Okay.
That's going pretty good now, and I'm still doing the foundation. Foundation is going well.
Okay.
The coaching was good. I just got kind of. I think I coached 14 years. 14 years,
okay.
coach. So it's been a lot of basketball.
Hey, you coached at what level?
I started off at University of Houston when I first got back.
Okay.
And then, like for 2 years, then when my son Joshua went to St. John's, I went over and watched the section, and I said, you know what, I gotta be here. And then the principal, the headmaster at St. John's, was one of my track guys from University of Houston. So I said, I gotta come in and help the school with fundamentals to try to keep everybody on my son Joshua's level. And then when Just developed, had to try to keep him on Justice level, and we won 3 titles. But I just got kind of tired. 15 seasons, man. And then Europe, I just got kind of like, I just got kind of tired of basketball and coaching in a sense. I still can coach, but I just got kind of, I can do it maybe another 2 years. I can go back to it, but I had to give it a break.
If the JY head coaching job came available, if Greg Wise decided to go to TSU or PV or whatever, and that job became available, would you be interested?
Oh yeah, that's back home.
Okay,
that's back home. The first thing I did when I came here, when I developed my AAU team, to develop some of the youth in the community. My JY kids played for free.
Okay.
So I had on that national team, I had about 3 guards. I had about 3 guards played with me, a couple of forwards. I always kept, through about 10 years, I always kept maybe 3 guys on my team from Yates.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, Rick, that concludes my interview. I had lots of questions, as you can see. Hey, I was very excited to get you in here, man, because I've been a huge fan of yours since all the way back to when I was first year of college. So, hey, thank you for coming on the show, Rick. We really, really appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me too, bro. Anytime you need someone to come on, I'm free, man. Next time, maybe we can talk a little bit about the foundation with the kids, the youth in the city. I've been doing that now 20 years, man. With our computer Olympics. We've been having it at University of Houston, where the kids competing in English, math, and reading on the computers. So that's lovely too, man. Maybe you guys can come by, or we do something. We normally have it in July at University of Houston, like the end of July, the computer Olympics.
Okay.
So,
computer Olympics. Okay.
Yeah, we take kids from age 3 to 12. In your school is your country. So if you're good in mathematics, then you're performing in mathematics just like track and field. You're going up against the rest of the schools. It's an amazing competition, man. And I've seen kids from 3 to 4 graduate from college.
Wow. Wow. Okay, quick question. Your last thing on that, referencing that. Let me see, you say computer Olympics, and you say ages 3 to 12. What's the name of your foundation?
Rowdy Foundation.
Say it again.
Rowdy Foundation. It's called Rowdy, ROWDY Foundation, and that's really Ricky O'Neal Winslow Development.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's really the initiative.
Okay.
A lot of people know that trying to go into it. I had one captain say, "Is this Rowdy the Blue Jeans?" Like, nah, but yeah, we deal with mentorship and all kinds of different developments, man. So, but it's been great. I mean, I've seen kids, man, develop into that just need. I seen kids, man, back that just needed somebody there, and we was there for them, and now they graduated from college. So, I mean, it's great. And my son, them doing the same thing. He doing the same thing with his foundation. So, I mean, it's great, man. So, it's special for me, the foundation.
That's outstanding, Rick. You sound like an after school special.
Yeah, I've been after school special for a long time. That's why I had to get some rest.
I know that's right.
I was trying to get a little rest now with the construction, just trying to get a little rest, man. Make somebody patio beautiful, so hey, that's where I'm at now, man.
All right, Rick. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. You take care, man, and keep up. Hey, man, follow our show, man. Follow the sports page, man. We need your input.
I definitely will.
I appreciate you, man.
If you need me,
thank you, brother Ricky Winslow.
All right.
Okay.
I appreciate you guys,
all right,
man.
Rick.
All right, take care.
Okay, you too. You too, Rick. Thank you, man.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right.
This is Sunny Side, our sports regular program that we do once a month to talk about the issues and the happenings, the going ons in sports, all sports everywhere. With us is our regular sports panel, myself, Baruti Carl Alexander, and our president, Jeff Walker, and our new board member, Brother Daryl General. How you doing, Brother Daryl?
Man, I want to thank you guys for inviting me. I'm happy to be here, and I'm ready to get in and start participating.
We look forward to that. We first want to just give a general kind of background of sports. We are now immediately into the NBA playoffs. We just had some great play-in games. Matter of fact, there's a play-in game happening right now. Has anybody heard what the results are of the play-in games happening right now? It's Miami and Chicago, and it's Oklahoma City and Memphis. Daryl, you looking at it?
I don't know, but I'm about to turn it on. I didn't cut it on because hopefully, like the rest of the people that are watching this, I was listening to that great interview with Ricky Winslow, and the play-in game couldn't compare to that interview. Jeff, I want to say you did a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Ricky was great. I know we dragged him out a little bit longer than we told him we would, but it was worth every minute. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I'm gonna get this game going now. So if you see me looking up this way, that's because I
want to first talk about what we already have seen with the play-in games. Oklahoma City beat New Orleans. Zion Williamson looked like he was ready to play in the warm-ups, but he didn't play and they lost. Looked like Oklahoma City is just a better chemistry team, even though New Orleans may have had more talent. But the talent wasn't there, they didn't play, and they lost. In the other game, Chicago Bulls came back and beat Toronto. Toronto is losing their coach, Nick Nurse. Most people believe he may be fired. He's a candidate for the Rockets job, so we'll see how that happens. Then on the other end, the Lakers beat Minnesota. Minnesota had a little disarray with a fight and everything happening, and the Lakers seem to be rolling. Watch out for the Lakers. And then the other playoff game, Atlanta beat Miami. I say watch out for Atlanta in the playoffs. What you say, Daryl, about the NBA playoffs?
Well, what happened with New Orleans is something that we've seen the last couple of years. They have, for the past few years, had tremendous talent, and for some reason that just does not carry over to the results that they've had in the league. And so I'm not surprised at what happened there. Zion, we all know from watching him when he was in college, was supposed to be the next generational player. And it seemed like he was well on his way, but it just hasn't panned out through injury, through being out of shape. I don't want to disparage the kid, but it for whatever reason, it just hasn't worked out. As far as Minnesota, that was absolutely horrible. Between the incident with Gobert and the kid that broke his hand, that really set the Lakers up. It kind of greased the skids for them. I don't think, had Gobert been there and the other kid been able to play, I don't think the Lakers would have beat them. The East, I'm not as familiar with. I'm a huge Rockets fan, and so I don't watch the East the way that I should. I watch Milwaukee when I can, Boston and Philadelphia. I do love Atlanta. I'm always skeptical of them. And then I love Jimmy Butler in Miami. So I'm gonna have to sit back and reserve judgment and just sit back and enjoy those games.
President Jeff, what's your comment on the NBA?
Oh, well, hey, I'm looking forward to the 16, the round of 16. The play-in, I haven't really been as involved in the play-in. The play-in, it's not my thing. I'm waiting for them to get to the final 16. But hey, I already know who I feel who's gonna win, so we can get to that. Are we talking about that now?
We can talk about that now, so yes.
Okay, all right. Well, who I got coming out of going to the Western Conference Finals, I got Denver versus Memphis. I think this is finally gonna be the year that Memphis finally gets over the hump and makes it to the Western Conference Finals. So I got them as the number 2 seed going up against the number 1 seed, the Denver Nuggets. I got them in the Western Conference Finals. On the East side,
what I'm gonna say to that?
Man, say what?
You know what I'm gonna say to that? Are
no,
you crazy? What I always say.
that's
But
why this
you
show
go
is
ahead,
so
Jeff.
good.
Then I'm gonna give you
That's
my
why,
choices. Go back
that's why
to
this show is
Daryl.
so good, because we don't agree with each other. If we all agree with each other, it wouldn't be interesting. All right, in the East, I have the Bucks. They're the number one team in the East. They're the number one team in the NBA. I'm very impressed with the Bucks. So if they're healthy, I got the Bucks, the number one seed, up against Boston. I got Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks, and I got the Bucks beating Boston, and I have Denver beating Memphis. So I have the Bucks versus Denver in the finals, with the Bucks winning it. That second title.
Real quickly, I'd like to interject my teams. I agree with you, Milwaukee and Boston. I agree with you, Milwaukee. But in the West, my two teams in the West are Phoenix and Golden State in the championship.
Wow.
In the West,
You got
Phoenix and Golden State. Daryl, what's your choices?
Pretty much like I said about New Orleans before, that they seem to have the talent, but they fall short. The success of Milwaukee will depend greatly, again, on the health of Chris Middleton. If Middleton is not there to help the big guy, then I don't think Milwaukee makes it. So my choice is going to be Boston there. I think the West is wide open. Durant hasn't been at Phoenix long enough or played enough with them for me to really think that they can do it. But if they can get it together, I would not be surprised to see them there. But outside of that, you know what? I'll stick with that. I'll go out on a limb and I'll take Phoenix if Chris Paul stays healthy and Durant if they mesh. I'll take Boston and Phoenix in the finals, with Boston, because of experience playing together more, winning over Phoenix in 6 games.
Talking about the NBA, I just want to interject. Mark Cuban got I believe it was a $750,000 fine. I think it happened today, and it was because of tanking. Which seems, you have a team with Luka Doncic. I go back and say that was a terrible trade getting Kyrie Irving. Now, a lot of people say it wasn't just his fault. I agree with that, probably so. But when they made the trade, they were in 4th place in the West. Now they finished outside even of the play-in. So how can you grade that in any other way except for a colossal failure? And you put your whole team in disarray, and who knows if Luka wants to stay there now. I mean, you had Dinwiddie, you had a lot of players, and they were playing together. Now, we don't know what was happening in the locker room. Luka might have said, you got to get rid of these players or I'm quitting. I don't know. But I don't think Kyrie Irving was the answer. Comments?
Well, hindsight. Go ahead. Go ahead, Darryl.
Well, I had the opportunity this past Sunday to speak to a writer, a New York sports writer, and we covered the gamut of sports. We talked about a lot of things, and one of the questions I asked him was the trial of Super Team, was it over? He said it was over before it began. He said if you look back at the Lakers when they brought Malone and Payton, even though that they were older, that didn't work. He said the Harden trade over to the Nets with Durant and Kyrie, he said that didn't work. He said even the Miami team, when they had LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and my boy from Texas, Chris Bosh, he said, yeah, they won, but it didn't work. There was no 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. So the meshing of these superstars doesn't seem to be working unless you do the formula that Golden State took. You know, they didn't mesh them like trade for Clay or Steph or even Draymond. They grew these guys up together, and that's what's happening. So when you get a Kyrie who's ball dependent, and you get a Luka who's ball dependent, and you just bring him over late in the season like that, then I'm what you call, I'm not surprised that it didn't work. I didn't expect them for the bottom to fall out, but I'm not surprised that it didn't work. It's very seldom that you can bring a Clyde Drexler over at the trade deadline and take the 6th seed in the West and win a championship. That doesn't happen these days. The league has too much parity. There's too much talent. It's just a different thing. These guys need to get together, training camp, practice together, learn each other, know where it is. Me, you, and Jeff, Carl, if we play together all the time, we can go against more established guys who have more talent than us if we know each other better. And that's what's happening around the league. These guys don't know each other. So you can't just drop Kyrie into a situation and say, oh, automatically, here's an extra 32.3 points a game. It just doesn't work that way. And we've seen it. Mark Cuban, he said 750. You should have told me earlier, I could have wrote that check last month. He doesn't care about that $1,000. You know, he wanted that draft pick, and he wasn't about to get that draft pick to anybody else. So he didn't care what the NBA did. He was willing to take that fine. If he had his choice, probably Jason Kidd wouldn't even been on the sideline. He would have sent them all home and let the three of us play. But he was not about to lose that pick that was protected. And so that's what happened. So that's my take.
Exactly. I agree with Darryl Jones on that 100%. The $750,000, that's just a drop in the bucket for that guy. This guy's worth what, $20-50 billion? I mean, he can care less about $750. That's like $750 to me. What's that? I wouldn't even. So I'm just saying that's nothing to that guy. That's nothing to him. And because of that, he doesn't have to relinquish that first round pick to the Knicks. That was a part of the Porzingis trade. What's that guy name? Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, it was a part of that trade. And he didn't want to give up that first round pick. And I think that first round pick is going to be a part of some type of a trade that they're going to probably make this offseason. And they needed that first round pick for that trade. I think that's what's going on. He's setting up a trade, and he needed a first round pick. And without that first round pick, the trade that he's got set up, that he's planning on making an offseason, wouldn't be able to come to fruition. I think that's what it's all about. So $750,000, no problem, huh? Here you go. No problem.
Okay.
But it's not. But it's bad for the league to do that. When teams intentionally lose like that, it's bad for the league. It's bad for the league. It's bad for your fan base. People paying all these thousands of dollars to come out there and watch the guys play just to see you intentionally lose. That's not good. It really affects the integrity of the league.
I agree with you. And it just sets a real bad precedent going from 4th to 10th. Oh, that's just, I can't imagine that. And we've had this conversation before about tanking. But let me go to this subject. The NCAA March Madness had San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, some also ran teams that we almost have never heard of. Yes, Connecticut won it, but is the day of the big time program over with, and everybody is, free to compete in the NCAA?
Well, the NCAA is not like the NBA. The NBA, you got a best of 7. So in order to advance, you got to beat a team 4 times. So generally, you're going to get the better of the 2 teams relative to advancing because you played 6-7 games. But in NCAAs, you're talking about one game, and you lose and you out. So anybody can be beaten. Anybody, because anybody can have a bad game. And the other team, they hot that day, and you're cold, and then you'll start getting in foul trouble early because the officials call some tic-tac fouls. It's not hard for a team to surprise you and beat you.
And also, I mean, what happens is these youngsters want to go to a place they can play. So they're not going to be third string at Duke when they can play at a Florida Atlantic or a Austin Peay. And that's what happens. And the window of being able to play is very short, maybe a year, maybe 2 years if they're real good, because they want that opportunity to go to the, NBA and get that big money. So I see that happening. What you say, Darryl?
Go back to the statement I made on the previous question. If you have a team like Florida Atlantic and those guys have played together for 3 years, that's an advantage over having a freshman, even if he's a superstar freshman. These guys know each other. This guy's only played with this team, I don't care how great he is, for the last 7 months. He doesn't know these guys. And then you put the national spotlight on them, and that's a big difference. Also, we all know from watching over the years, it's about guard play. We've seen the Patrick Ewings, we've seen Ralph Sampson, Zion. We've seen these teams, even Purdue this year with the big guy. They've got some great centers, but the guard play has always prevailed in the NCAA tournament. And it has made stars of people like the guy at San Diego State, who most people didn't know, or even the guard at Kansas State, who has raised his stock. Bryce Drew, when he hit his shot, he went from who's he to a first-round pick. So
exactly.
So it's always, for me, it's guard play. I didn't watch a lot of college this year, and I still finished 18th in our company pool, because what I did was I did my research. I said, well, who are the guards? Who are the guards? And I read an article that said Florida Atlantic had shooters and guards. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take a flyer. Somebody always goes, whether it's St. Mary's or Wisconsin or the girls' choir, whatever. There's somebody that always sneaks in there. And I got lucky and I picked FAU to go all the way to the Elite Eight, and that served me well. So
wow, you did that? You went with the, you really did, DJ?
I had them beating Purdue, and Purdue didn't even make it. So when Purdue didn't get to even the second round, I was pulling for Florida Atlantic the rest of the time. I can scan it to you. I can prove it. I
believe you.
Like the kids say, I got receipts.
I believe you, man. I believe you. I'm just surprised to hear that, because I didn't know anybody had Florida Atlantic. I'm like, whoa. I think they put the 9th seed. They like the 9th seed. I didn't know anybody had them. That was amazing that they made it all the way to the final game in the 9th seed. That was amazing. And I think this is one of the first times where you didn't have a first, second, or third seed that even made it to the Final Four. That was long. Right. Now the question is, are those teams overrated? Were they overrated? That's another question. Were those teams overrated? Those 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seeds, were those teams overrated or what?
I don't think so. I think it goes back to what you said. These guys all play basketball. These guys have all played basketball every day of their lives for the last who knows how many years. And on any given day, if you don't bring your A game, you're not going to make it. Houston, who I had on all 3 to win it all, because I'm biased, first of all. Second, I like their squad. When they weren't there 100%, they got tore up. Texas, who was my second choice, because of course, I watch a lot of regional sports, but they didn't play that one day. That's all it takes. You don't get a chance to come back and do it in a game 2, game 3, or take it to a game 7. If you wake up that morning and your shot is not falling, if your star player gets into foul trouble, if he's injured, if he has a sore ankle and he's not at 100%, you are ripe for the taking. And that's what makes the NCAA tournament one of the best events in all of sports. The Super Bowl, the finals, NBA finals, Major League World Series, the NCAA 64-team tournament, we're not going to count the play in, is one of the greatest events that, over a course of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, how long is it? That's how engrossed we are in that. So that's why I love it. I just absolutely love it.
I concur.
I want to ask about this controversy between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Is it elements of bias involved in it? In case the audience doesn't know, both of them made like a choke or a taunting sign, but then they jump on Angel Reese and said she was being unsportsmanlike. Are y'all aware of that?
Yes.
Yes,
you aware of it?
I remember it. Basically, what it comes down to is Caitlin did this to a player like maybe a few days earlier, and she made this gesture. She did this gesture, and she did that. So, of course, when Angel had our chance, had our time in the moment, and they went and about to win the championship, quite naturally, she did the same thing. She did the same thing. Now, was it taunting? A little bit, yeah, it was taunting, but But Caitlin that already did it. So it was okay if Caitlin do it, but it's not okay for Angel to do it. So basically telling me it's okay for one young lady to do it, but it's not okay for another young lady to do it. So what I'm saying is that you can't have one rule for one young lady because she's one color, and then have another rule for another young lady because she's a different color. You got to be consistent. And that's the problem. They're not consistent. And that young lady from LSU has really taken a beating in social media because they have called her all kinds of names. I see this on TikTok, is everywhere. They have called that girl all kinds of names. So now you got, the two races going back and forth. Well, she shouldn't have done that. Well, she should have done it. Well, she's a poor sport. So it's gone back and forth. It's now starting to die down a little bit. I'm not hearing as much about it, but oh my goodness, the next 3 or 4 days after that happened, it was all over social media. So
Very much so.
That happens.
You have any comment on that, Daryl?
First of all, both ladies are great talents. Caitlin, if you got an opportunity to watch her play, which I did until the last couple of games, is just, I mean, the girl can flat out hoop. So I'm of two minds of this. My first thing is I totally 100% agree with Jeff. The only difference between what Angel Reese did and what Caitlin did, the only difference was the color of the skin when they did it. That is the only difference. So if you don't like one, but you like the other, I invite you to tell me what is the difference besides the skin color, because that is the only difference that I know. If you know of another difference, that's a different reason why you thought Angel Reese was classless and all ghetto and all this, but Caitlin wasn't, please share that with me. My second thought is, I don't use Caitlin Clark, as an excuse for what Angel Reese did. Angel Reese is a competitor. She's an athlete. If you grew up like we did during the time we did, nothing was off limits. You better go get your mama to come hold me because you can't hold me.
Exactly.
I mean, we talked about you like a dog.
We did.
What I don't like is don't use the white girl did it so I can do it. I don't care if she did it. I can still do it because all I'm doing is being competitive. I'm not asking for an excuse. I'm not asking for a reason. Don't say, well, okay, you can do it because she did it. I don't care if she did it or not. What Angel Reese did was not wrong. It was taunting. It was competitive. But you don't use the excuse, well, she's allowed to do it because someone that's not of color did it. Take her out of the equation altogether, and I still say, leave Angel Reese alone. Y'all looking for something to pick on. It doesn't matter what color she is, but y'all picking on that girl only because she's black. And whether a white person did it before her or not is totally irrelevant to me. What she did was not worth the trouble that they gave her.
Very much so. Right now, I want to talk a little bit about the possibilities of the Astros getting another championship, another one for Dusty Baker. What do we think about that? Jeff?
It's so early. A lot of people are getting upset because it's early. They didn't get off to a great start, and everybody's kind of talking about them. Dude, the Major League Baseball schedule is 162 games. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So who cares who wins the first 100 meters of a mile run? I can care less how they playing right now. All they have to do is make the playoffs. They make the playoffs, and they hot at the time they make the playoffs. They can beat anybody. So I'm not worried about them right now. I still think as long as they're healthy, come postseason, they can beat anybody.
I agree with you. You agree with that, Daryl?
Absolutely. I like anybody else, I want to see my team jump off to a 20-0 start. I want us to be the Tampa Bay Rays and have history-setting beginnings. But Jeff is absolutely correct. There's 162 games. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. We started off last year, I think, if I'm remembering off the top of my head, something like 6-11. we still have a great pitching staff. We still have great hitters. Jukes, the kid from Houston, is filling in admirably. Dusty is Dusty. I do question Dusty's decisions sometimes. I think he's a little old school for me. But all in all, the team has so much talent. Right now is not the time to panic. Check with me about the All-Star break. It's not the record right now. It's how we play. As long as we are playing well, we lost the game the other night in the 9th inning on one pitch. It was a 3-run homer. That happens, but that was one pitch. That doesn't mean we had a bad game. We lost that game, but it was one pitch. So check with me. If we're playing well, then I like our chances against anybody. I like our pitching staff, and I like our lineup.
Isn't Altuve still out? He got hurt over the summer. He's still out.
Altuve is still out. Brantley is still out. Bregman had a slow start, but he's picked it up lately. Yordan, they're pitching around him, and when they make the mistake of pitching to him, he's still slapping it out of there. We're getting productivity out of Jokes, like I said, out of Dubon, who has been phenomenal lately. Chas McCormick has had some clutch hits. Man, this other guy's name is escaping me. He's a veteran. He's an older guy, but he's been balling. So the new pitcher, Hunter, what's his name, Jeff? Hunter Brown, Hunter Henry. He's been throwing the ball.
That's me.
Oh, that's right. The baseball is not your thing.
That's not my thing. That's not my thing.
But he's been doing great. I'm like you. I have no concerns right now. We're gonna be fine. You know, she orders a lobster and a salad, but you know the night's still young. We're gonna see what's gonna happen.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Talking about not our thing. I'm not a golfer, except for putt. But one thing about golf is Tiger Woods has been a mainstay for the last, 25 years or so. And a lot of people go and look at what Tiger's doing, and we root for Tiger and so forth. But in his last Masters, he tried it, and he had to give it up. He had to withdraw. Is this the end for Tiger Woods? Daryl.
I don't like to speak for an entire nation, but I like to think, I'm fairly certain that for most Black people, Tiger Woods is gone. If it had not been Tiger Woods, a lot of these guys that you see going out to the links never would have been out there. I mean,
That's true.
He opened the door, and we ran in. You know, okay, it's possible. Let's go out and let's do it. So, having said that, to answer your question, everything has its run. This kid, well, he's not a kid anymore. Still a kid to us because of our age, but he has done so much for the game. He has done so much, but he's also been through so much, you know, divorces and scandals and wrecks and I mean, just so much. So will he be the 20-year-old that putts in this direction when the hole is this way in some sort of way? That ball goes up a hill, turns left, rolls down, stops and signs autographs, and then drops in the hole. No, I don't think we're gonna see too much more of that. I think he will still be competitive if he decides to keep playing once he gets healthy. But winning any majors, if that happens, that's going to be a huge story, absolute huge story. Any tournament that he is in the leaderboard, like Mickelson was this past week, for him to end up second, it's going to be a huge story. So, but yeah, I think his time has passed, but I hope and pray that he proves me wrong.
I concur. I concur with that. I think that everything has a shelf life. Everything has a shelf life. That's why they made up the word depreciation. You know, you have class life. You know, each asset has a class life. It may be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, but there is a shelf life. And I just think that Tiger Woods' career as being a perennial winner, I think his shelf life is come and gone. He kind of reminds me of Mike Tyson at the end of his career. He's just hanging on, just trying to see if he can collect a few more dollars before he finally calls it a career. I just think that it's over. His days of being a winner at the major league, at the major level, I think that's over. I just think it's over. I think that, like Darryl said, I think he's been through a lot. Things were fine until he had that scandal with his wife. And it just seemed like after that, he went through the divorce. It just seemed like he's just never the same again. It's like he just lost his concentration. It's like he lost his mojo. And I know it's strange how right after that, he was not the same player after that. Right after that. It's the strangest thing.
I'm gonna say it like this. When you get older and you go through things, if you survive, you start to learn a few things. You start to appreciate a few things. And I think he's going to learn to appreciate what he has done and what he's still capable of doing. Even not being a 20-year-old, he will learn a different way. You know, when Michael Jordan went to the Washington Wizards, he wasn't Michael Jordan of the old days, but he was still an all-star. And golf is a different thing. Golf is you can be an independent player, and he's going to get the best training. He's going to get the best circumstances. He's going to take some time and put those things together. And he's going to understand what he does mean to the Black community. And he's going to take some respect for that and bring in and tutor some young players, as well as get out there and show, hey, I can still do this. You know, he's Tiger Woods, and golf is something that you can put your whole mind into, your whole spirit into, and be able to coalesce all of that spirit and energy and go and make it happen. And I think he's gonna go and make it happen. He's only 47, I believe. I think he's only 47. And he has another 5 years. And in this 5 years, he's gonna show what he's made of. That's what I believe. That's what I believe, that's what I hope, and it would do very good for our community, the Black community. Across the board, he has inspired a lot of people. J.R. Smith would not be a golfer today if it wasn't for Tiger Woods. And, you know, he's out there. He may join the circuit soon, as well as a lot of other young Black people, older Black people are going to get out there and make some of that money in golf. We'll see what things happening. Other things happening. The NFL draft, Jeff. The NFL draft is coming up. I know you say, let's take a quarterback with the Texans #1 pick. You know I disagree with that. I say let Davis Mills still be the #1 coming into camp, but you draft a #5 to compete with him. You get you a free agent to compete with him and have about 4 different, but I'm all about getting those offensive linemen, defensive linemen with 1 and 2, a defensive back, a wide receiver, and let's go for it. If you can find a Billy Sims or Eric Dickerson at running back, let that person be #1. Jeff, what you say?
I disagree with you. Basically, this is how I feel about this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Breaking news. I hate to interrupt you. Breaking news. Miami did defeat Chicago.
Okay.
So Miami will be playing Milwaukee on Sunday at 5:30, and Cleveland will be playing the Knicks tomorrow at 6.
Okay. So the play-in portion. So the play-in portion is over with.
No, one more game.
For
Oklahoma
the East.
City and Minnesota right now.
Yeah, for the East it's over, but now the West has the finish. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to keep the listeners up to date with what was going on.
Appreciate that, Darryl. Okay, now I disagree with you, Carl. This is how I feel as I see it. Okay, if you got a chance, now the question is, okay, if Bryce Young is off the board and that's the guy they wanted, and they're not high on Stroud, CJ Stroud, and they're not high on Anthony Richardson, and they're not high on that Will Levi's guys. If they're not high on those guys, then I can understand them going defense. But if CJ Stroud, if you still high on him and you high on Bryce Young, only one of those guys can go off the board before your pick. Then you pick the other player. This is how I see it. Defensive player versus the quarterback. A great game for a defensive player. It's a great game. He had 1.5 sacks. Okay, 1.5 sacks. Say 5 tackles for loss. Okay, and then say he had total of 6 total tackles. That's a great game for a defensive player. 1.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, total of 6 overall tackles. But a great game for a quarterback is say 30 or 41 for 410 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So in your opinion, which player will have a bigger impact on your team? The quarterback is your leader. That's the
quarterback
can't
do that without an offensive lineman.
They have
That
an offensive line. They have a good
got,
offensive line. They have one more weakness on the offensive line. That's a center. Then they can get a center with the 12th pick or with that 33rd pick, which is the top of the second round. You can get a good offensive lineman at that one of those picks. But if this guy, CJ Stroud, if you think he's a franchise quarterback, you got to take that guy. You don't leave that guy on the board and take a defensive player who might have that defensive player might affect 10 plays that whole game. But an outstanding quarterback might throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. Who had the bigger impact? The guy that affected 10, 12 plays, or the guy threw for 400 yards and 5 TDs?
I got to go with the quarterback. Throw for 400 yards if he don't have proper blocking. You got to get that grunt guy in on the line.
I just told you, they have a good offensive line now. They have shored up some of those weaknesses on the offensive line. All they need is one more guy. They got 3 of the top 33 picks in the draft. You can use one of those picks on an offensive lineman. You can take an offensive lineman at 12. You can take an offensive lineman at the top of the second round with the 33rd pick. You can still get an offensive lineman.
You can take a running back. You can take a running back at number 1. You ain't got to. I think we got an adequate quarterback as well as we can get a free agent. I would not take one of those guys when I got somebody who's played adequately for 2 years. I give him the opportunity. Then I get me a free agent also to compete with him. I draft another quarterback. Tom Brady was drafted number 6. You can find diamonds in the rough.
So
at 4, 5, or 6, and let that person come in and compete, and let's go for it. But I surely shore up my offensive and defensive linemen, as well as getting those outside guys, receivers, and cornerbacks.
Call. You can do both. You can take quarterback at number 2. You can come back with the 12th pick and take the best offensive lineman on the board. And now all of a sudden, you got a much better offensive line. Okay. Then you come back to the top of the second round and come back and get you an edge rusher. Okay. Come back and get you the edge rusher. So now in your top 3 picks, you got your franchise quarterback. Okay. You got your offensive lineman at number 12. Now you got one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Then you come back to the top of the second round and get that edge rusher, the best edge rusher on the board, whether it's an outside linebacker or whether it's a defensive end, or somebody who can get to the quarterback. You can accomplish all 3 of those with those top 30.
We're not going to settle this. Brother Darryl.
I know.
Let's hear your comment.
Much like our offline conversations, man, I'm going to stand in the middle of y'all and keep y'all separated. I'm going to push Jeff this way and push you this other way. And I'm going to be France. I'm going to be neutral. I see merit in both of your arguments. I've said this for years, that general managers for professional sports teams, they catch a lot of flack, but the job is not easy. It's not easy at all. Neither one of you are wrong. The conventional wisdom says that if you have a difference maker, you take him. So if you think Young or Stroud is a difference maker, then you have to take him. You just have to. If you don't believe that he's a difference maker, then you're right. Then you can take your defensive lineman or whatever you think your other biggest need is, other than quarterback. The thing is, no matter how you look at it, how you flip it, whether you cook it, bake it, fry it, or put it in the easy bake oven, you don't know for sure. We jumped up and down when they took Mario Williams over Reggie Bush and Vince Young. We said Houston had lost their mind. Mario had a longer career than both of them. Reggie bounced around. VY worked his way out of the league. So it's all a crapshoot. You never really know. Like you said, Brady went, what was his number? 112?
Sixth round. He won the sixth round.
Sixth round.
6 rounds. Purdy, who just took his team, albeit a talented team, was Mr. Irrelevant. And he took them all the way to the Super Bowl. So, yeah. So is Carl right? Could we get that quarterback with the 12th pick or in the next round or even later on? Could we get Mr. Relevant as a quarterback and he'd do the same thing? Yeah, it's all possible. I would not want to be in the general manager's shoes, but if you're forcing me to choose, once again, I go back to my first statement. If we really believe that Stroud or Young is a generational, if we think that he's a Justin Fields over a Trey Lance, which I think we're trying to get Trey Lance now. And I have no knock against that kid, but if you honestly believe that he is the leader that he can be, that we think he can be, then you're right. You have to take it. That's why quarterbacks get paid the most. They are the most important position on the field. Not to take anything away, like you said, they can't be the most important position if the offensive line doesn't block for them. If they don't have a running back to take the pressure off of them, Brady could not have done anything for the Houston Texans the last couple of years. Greatest of all time, but he could not have helped the Texans win but 2 or 3 more games because he couldn't have stayed upright and they wouldn't have done it. So we're gonna have to wait and see when is the draft.
The 27th.
We have to wait and see on the 27th. Keep our fingers crossed and hope that it pans out, because if you guys are like me, I love it when our teams win. I love it when the Rockets are winning. I love it, but it's been tough for the Texans the last few years. It's been tough on the Rockets the last few years. So I'm hoping that they both get it right in these upcoming drafts and that the Astros turn it around and we celebrate another World Series championship.
Speaking of the Rockets, we're going to come back to that. We're going to finish out with the Rockets, but I want to go right now into what do you think about the building that DeMarco Ryans is doing with the Houston Texans? Are they going to have an opportunity to improve their record this year, Darryl?
I believe that they will. I believe DeMarco is going to come in and change the culture. I know that that's his goal. I know that would be any coach's goal if you come into a team that has only won 1 or 2 games the last couple of seasons. It begins there. You can acquire the talent. You can acquire all the talent you want. If you don't change the culture, if you don't have these guys, I'm not going to say distraught. There's another word. I need my thesaurus with me. But if they're not upset about losing, if they're not going in and knocking over water coolers and challenging each other in practice and go out there with the mindset that, hey, we can beat this team. We're as good as anybody else if we practice and play. So I believe he's done well. I like the pickups that he's done. I'm hoping that he works well with Caserio. I hope that they're on the same page and that he gets the players that he wants. A lot of times the GM and the coach are on separate pages. And of course, the coach is usually the first one to get his neck cut. I don't want that to happen to Ryans. I hope they're on the same page. I hope they draft according to what he wants. If he's going to succeed or fail, I would like for it to be on his own terms. But right now, I'm excited, which is hard to say about a team that won, 2 games? But I'm excited. I can't wait. Football is king in Texas, and I really can't wait till the Texans get started.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I like what DeMeco's done so far. I like the coaching staff that he's put together. I like the free agent moves that they made. I like the Devin Singletary pickup. He's a running back. He actually is a very good running back. He's really good at getting the first downs on third down. That third down conversion rate, he had one of the highest conversion rates of all the running backs, like number 3 in the entire NFL last year as far as third down conversion rates. I like the linebacker they picked up in Denzel Perryman. I think he's going to help them. I like the tight end they picked up from Dallas, Dalton Schultz. I think he's going to help them tremendously. I like the safety they picked up in Jimmy Ward. I like the defensive tackle they picked up in Sheldon Rankins. I like the wide receiver they picked up in Noah Brown, as well as wide receiver Robert Woods. And I also like the offensive lineman who they traded for, who's going to come in and start, Shaq Mason. So with Shaq Mason, and then use maybe one of your first 3 picks on an offensive lineman, then that offensive line is fixed. Your offensive line is fixed. So now I'll have what I have right now, what their weaknesses are right now is, number 1, franchise quarterback. They need a franchise quarterback. All right. Number 2, they need a center. Number 3, they need an edge rusher. Those are your 3 biggest needs right now for the Texans. And they have the opportunity to take care of those needs with the 2nd pick, the 12th pick, and the 33rd pick. I look for the Texans to do a lot of willing and dealing because the Texans have, well, I think 11 or 12 picks. They have 3 picks in the 6th round. They have 2 picks in the 7th round, and they have 2 picks in the 3rd round. So with those 5 picks on the back end of that draft in the 6th and 7th rounds, I look for them to use those picks to move up in rounds 4 and rounds 5, and maybe even move up from that 2nd round pick, move up into the back end of that 1st round and get a wide receiver that they want if they cut it. So I could see them coming away in that 1st round, ending up with 3 first-round picks, moving up from the 2nd round into the back end of the 1st round, say from 33 up to say maybe 26, and coming away with a half-line wide receiver. And then at 12, you take an offensive lineman, and at 2, you get your franchise quarterback. So now you got your quarterback, you got your offensive lineman, you shut up your offensive line, you got your franchise quarterback, and you got your half-line receiver. I think they do that. I think they do that. They've shored up their weaknesses.
Sounds good. My last question in football is about Lamar Jackson. Has he went too far in his demands and the way he's going about it? Daryl, what you think about that? Lamar Jackson.
The guaranteed contract. The numbers, he's definitely earned the numbers. So I don't know for sure. I haven't done enough research on it, but I don't believe that he's asking for too much money. I believe he's asking for too much guaranteed. He's asking for too much guaranteed, even if he had been healthy the last 3 years, which he has. Lamar is a great talent. He does things on the football field that not many people can do. Justin Fields, what he did toward the end of this last season reminded me a lot of him because he was a threat to just tuck the ball under his jersey and run for 60 yards, which we know Lamar can do. But guaranteeing, if I'm a GM, I can't give you that, sir. I mean, I love you. I think you're great, but I cannot guarantee you $250 million when you cannot guarantee me that you're going to be here for 16 or 20 games. You know, can you get me to the Super Bowl? You know, I believe you can, but you can't stay healthy. You haven't proven that you can stay healthy, and you have no motivation to get out there. If I guarantee you all of your money, Deshaun Watson got guaranteed. It's a bad contract, whether he lives up to it or not. It's a bad contract from a business standpoint. I'm glad Deshaun got it. I'm more than happy for the young man. But I mean, nobody gets guaranteed that type of money unless there's some back end on it where you can get it. And so that nullifies a guarantee. So that's not a guarantee anymore. I wish him the best. I think if he settles for a little bit less guaranteed, I think they can get it done. I like the fact that Odell is there. I think they drafted, picked him up to entice Lamar to come back. He still has Rashad Bateman. He still has Mark Andrews, who I think is the second best tight end in the league. So things are there. They need to sit down and have a drink and a cigar and say, look, Lamar, we can't guarantee you $250 million. Take the guaranteed 175 and let's go out and do something special.
Sounds good. Jeff.
Basically, when Deshaun Watson got that contract, that ruined everything. I know a lot of teams, a lot of GMs and owners were not happy with that because when you do that, you set a precedent. So now all the other quarterbacks, when they come up on their contract, they're like, well, look what he got. I want what he got. I want $5 million more than what he got. So now everybody's gonna compare what they want, their expectations to what Deshaun got. So that ruined it. That ruined everything. So now everybody wants what Deshaun got or more. And now the other owners are like, that contract was a bad contract. We're not gonna make the same mistake that the other team made. We're not gonna do that. Just because they made a mistake, that means that we have to turn around and make the same mistake. So he's not asking for too much relative to market value.
Right.
But relative to the precedent that was set, these owners are trying to come back, pull things in just a little bit, saying, no, that's too much. We can't continue to do that. Because then if we give this guy more than him, then the other guy gonna want more than him, then the other guy gonna want more than him, and then the other guy's gonna want more than him, then what does it end? So you gotta, at some point or another, you gotta reel in these contracts at some point or another. And it looks like to me, they're trying to set it with Lamar. If they're gonna utilize him, he's gonna be the guy, they're gonna try to reel it in with him. And they're gonna start, in other words, they're gonna start reeling in the contracts and they're gonna start with Lamar. So he doesn't have much leverage. Deshaun, the reason why Deshaun got what he got is because really Houston was on the verge of making a deal with someone else. I don't remember, it was either New Orleans or Atlanta. Houston was really about to pull the trigger, and then at the last minute, Cleveland decided, no, we want him bad enough, and then they decided to give him that big $230 million. He was gone. So because Houston actually had a better deal as far as draft capital he's going to get in return, they had a better deal. I think it was with Atlanta or New Orleans. It was one of them two teams. But
Was it Miami?
I know it was Atlanta.
Okay.
It was Atlanta. Or Atlanta or the Panthers. The Panthers. Okay. Carolina. But then at the last minute, the owner for the Browns decided, no, we want Deshaun. So he gave him all that money to get him there. So, and Deshaun, I mean, other than that, he really have any leverage. He didn't play the previous year. He had all this legal stuff, he was dealing with. So, and he still got $230 million. So that's really remarkable that he was able to get $230 million coming off of what he was coming off of, a season where he didn't play at all, and then all the legal issues he was having. And he still got $230 million. That's unprecedented for a guy to get that type of reward for what he did and still get rewarded.
There was another reward to that got overlooked. Even though he had the fully guaranteed contract, the first year was only for like $1 million. And
you know, there's a reason behind that.
Exactly. Go ahead. You can say it.
Well, the reason behind that is because he knew he was going to be suspended for a good portion of the season. So if you're going to give him $30 million that first season, then he's going to lose a lot of money. So he set that contract at a very low amount. So knowing he's going to miss a good portion of the season, so he lost less money.
Exactly.
Brilliant. That was brilliant.
Which is another piece of cheese to get him to Cleveland.
Exactly. Brilliant. Just brilliant.
Our last segment, we at the close of our show. This is the 6th episode of Sunny Fireside Sports Take Live, by the way. Our 6th episode. So we've been doing this a while, perfecting our art, growing and getting better. Our last segment, with a good coach, what is the potential of the Rockets with a good coach? Jeff.
Okay, right now, let me tell you who the coaching candidates are. Sam Cassell, they have received permission to speak with Sam Cassell. They've also received permission to interview Kenny Atkinson. They've already interviewed Frank Vogel, who won a championship with the Lakers as a coach for the Lakers in the 2019 to 2020 season. He won a championship with the Lakers as that coach. They also are expected to go after Nick Nurse, who's the head coach for the Toronto Raptors. He won a championship with Toronto in the 2018-19 season. They're also going after Udoka, the coach with Boston with the scandal, that scandal situation. I also hear Mark Jackson's name being mentioned. I'm also hearing Scotty Brooks' name being mentioned. Also, they have also just received permission. They interviewed today Kevin Young, assistant coach for Phoenix. They interviewed him today. He's assistant coach with Phoenix. So they're interviewing about 9 candidates. And So it's just they got to pick the right guy. The key is they got to pick the right guy. They got to get it right. You can't pick the wrong coach. They got to pick the right coach. So I'm hoping they have a good process together. I'm hoping they have a good team together who can sit down and make the right decision and bring in the right coach. Because if they don't
With
get
a
the
good
right coach,
coach,
excuse me.
how far can they go?
Well, with a good coach, then it depends on the draft lottery. Say they get the first pick. They get the first pick. Dude, they get the first pick, then Houston will become a free agent site where people will want to come because they can say, oh, look, they just got that 7'5" guy. They already got Jalen Green. They already got Kevin Porter Jr. They already got Afrin Shagun. That guy's bad. Shagun, that guy's bad. And then they also already got Jabari Smith. So if you add that 7'5" guy to that, and now you still have roughly $60 million in cap space to go out and acquire free agents, you have all the necessary tools, all the necessary ingredients to put together an outstanding dynamic team. And it's just a matter of making it happen. Now the question is, do they have the right general manager in place to make that happen? But I would love to be in a position that their general manager's in right now. Over $60 million. And if they cut loose one of their players, they would actually have $72 million in cap space. That's almost enough money for two max free agents to go along with the 7'5" guy if you win the lottery. So you get the right coach with that team, dude, this team would be a Final Four team in the West. They would be a Final Four team overall. They would be in the Western Conference Finals, in my opinion, next season if they can put together the right coach and they get the breaks that I just mentioned. Because this is what I'm hearing. If they get the first pick, they got this guy. They put him at power forward. You have Shagun at center, or you can have him at power forward. They can be interchangeable. But I'm also hearing that they are looking to trade for, and he's interested, Jaylen Brown, Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown. I hear he's interested in coming to Houston. I also hear that if Houston get the first pick, I also hear James Harden is wanting to come. So if you add Jaylen Brown, you add the 7'5" guy, and then you add James Harden, oh my goodness.
You agree with that, Darryl?
I loved Harden when he was here. I don't know if I'd love him when he comes back. I think he's ball dominant, even though he's proven that he's willing to share the ball. He's done a lot of sharing. He's high up on the board and assist in Philly. I just don't know. I don't want to poison, and I don't want to call the guy poison, but I like the direction we're going in, and I don't know if we can continue to go in that direction with Harden. But to answer your question, yes, if we get a good coach, then I think that we can easily turn around. We lost a lot of games in the end. Some of it was silence, some of it was just immaturity and youth. I would prefer, I don't have a particular horse that I want to bet on at this point, but any horse that I would bet on would be a veteran coach. I don't want an assistant. I don't want somebody who can relate to them. I need somebody who's going to come in and guide. If you look at the history of the league, you go back and you look at coaching changes, it's almost the player, the coach that can relate to player, and then the disciplinarian. And then the next one is a coach that is a player's coach, and then the disciplinarian. You go back and forth between a Don Chaney and a Van Gundy, and then a Rudy T and a Bill Fitch. It's like whatever you had this year, when it doesn't work, then you go the other way. But we had the players coach. We had the guy that they could relate to. Kevin Porter has matured so much in these last couple of years. He was a hothead out there, but Silas has really guided him, along with John Lucas, who Ricky mentioned earlier. But I would rather have a veteran coach. I would rather have a Snyder, a Vogel. I love Sam Cassell. I think he deserves an opportunity. I would like the coach from Boston. I guess if I had to pick somebody, he would be my first choice. I love the Nick Nurse and the guy who is currently the Vipers coach because they're familiar with the schemes and the Rocket schemes. I love both. I don't know if you mentioned him, Jeff. Did you?
No, the Vipers coach. What's his name? Vipers coach.
He's on our bench now.
Oh, okay.
But he coached these guys. He took over after Nurse. After Nurse left, he was the coach.
Okay.
But he's been on a couple of if you watch the Rockets report after the games, he's been on that, and we'll talk about it offline. But I like him because he can relate to these guys. But if I could bring in a Van Gundy or Bill Fitch like person, not either one of those two, like them, who says, okay, look, you got all the talent in the world, but I need you to have some structure. I think that's what we're lacking, because that's it. We have all the talent. That lineup that you mentioned, Jeff, is absolutely fantastic. I would love to be at every game and watch that. I don't want to make the same mistake with the Frenchman that we made with Ralph Sampson. I know he's able to handle the ball. I know that he's able to go outside. But if he's 7'5", you're a center in this league, man. You're not a power forward. I don't care what you want and how talented you are. That's your position. You can still play like Pippen. You can still bring it down. You can still take the jumper. But when you line up, you're a center. I mean, I don't want a 7'5" power forward and a 6'8". How tall is the goon? 6'8",
6'9", 6'10".
Yeah, that doesn't even sound right. That doesn't even sound. I don't even want to run my plays like that. But that's just me. I'm a layman. I sit over here. I do all my coaching and GMing from the couch with a beer in my hand and a cigar in the other. But that's just my opinion.
That don't we all?
That's what sports is, at least from our perspective. Opinions, commentary. We would have did this. Somebody else said they would have did that. And that's what makes the sports world go round. We are at the end of our 6th episode. We are at the end of our program. I thank my brothers. I thank you. And we had a very informative program. Mr. President, do you have a final word?
I want to thank Ricky Winslow. He really stepped up for me. Because you're always worried that one of your guests something might come up at the last minute and they couldn't make it or whatever. So you always have to guard against that. And he was Johnny on the spot. He was willing to give up a lot of his time. I mean, we interviewed that guy for an hour and 15 minutes. So I really, really appreciate Ricky Winslow. Thank you, Ricky Winslow. We appreciate it. And give a shout out to his foundation. What I wrote that down. What's the name of his foundation? Rowdy Foundation. Rowdy Foundation. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up on the internet and see what we can do for Rowdy Foundation on behalf of Mr. Rick.
Let's post it on the site. That's one
Most
thing
definitely.
we can do. Let's post it on the site.
Most definitely.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Well, we thank you. We'll see you next time. Our next date, Jeff, this is April, so we're going to have a show in May, once a month, and keep up with our guests for Sports Legends Southwest. Do you have a guest lined up for our next show, Jeff?
I have a guest lined up for the 28th. Yes, I have a guest lined up for 2 weeks from today. I have a guest lined up for that. Yes.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to hearing about that. We'll see everybody. If you have any comments, chime in on the site and we'll come back and answer them. I'm Baruti Carl Alexander. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Appreciate it.
Amen.